A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jimmy, your host for today. This is another trading psychology session brought to you by the Bird Nest. I think this is the time to talk about greed and emotions because I see that emotions are elevating across the market and greed is also going up as price is going up. I want you guys to prepare yourself for what's coming, how to identify your greed triggers, how to manage greed, and how to trade greed for something that can help you, that can empower you. Meanwhile, I want you to think for a few seconds about when you have experienced greed for the last time. So I will give you a few seconds and then I will play one of our intro videos.
Prime XPT is the most powerful. Prime XPT is the most powerful trading platform offering immediate access to over 30 assets. Trade cryptocurrencies, forex, commodities, stock indices, and much more, all from a single Bitcoin settled account. Visit the link below and start trading on Prime XPT in minutes.
YFDI is democratizing finance by creating the most secure, transparent, and user-friendly ecosystem of DeFi products. To learn more, visit thebirdpress.com/YFDI. Bistro is a decentralized peer-to-peer food marketplace that makes ordering food more convenient and rewarding for both providers and customers. Learn more at thebirdpress.com/bistro. CryptoCart bridges the gap between DeFi and e-commerce by allowing you to directly spend your crypto on countless real-world goods. Learn more at thebirdpress.com/CryptoCart. Equinix is a NASDAQ-listed digital assets company offering crypto exchange, custody, asset management, borrowing and lending services, and more. Enhance your crypto wealth today at thebirdnest.com/Equinix. The Change DeFi app allows you to become your own digital bank with automated financial services that give you complete control over your wealth while enjoying 100% freedom and security. Sign up today at thebirdnest.com/change.
Yeah, guys, welcome back. So there are a few ground rules I want to emphasize here. One, this is your safe space, so feel free to share your own experiences. There's no such thing as right or wrong. They're just your own, maybe subjective experiences, and you only will learn a lot only if you, one, play full out, just like play full out. This is 50% of success. The remaining part of success is doing your best and trying to digest all this information. So you need to do both of them. Listening, trying to learn as much as you can, and try to apply in real life. My goal and my aim is not that you are going to, remember all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you and then applying it all, but at least try to apply one thing. Because if you apply one thing and you do one thing differently, you will most likely do one thing differently against the crowd, and this way you will beat the crowd and you will make progress. I mean, trading psychology is all about cultivating the right mindset. You can only cultivate if you do. You need to take action, and you don't need to wait for motivation, people. This is one of the biggest scam, motivation. I do acknowledge that motivation is somehow important, but the misconception about motivation is that you need motivation to take action. That's wrong. That's really wrong. It's a fallacy. You need action to create motivation, because once you take action, your body will release dopamine and then you will feel motivated. It's not often the other way around, right? It's taking action, feeling motivated, getting in the flow, and transform yourself. I want you to consider yourself as a bull pennant, right? Trying to break the resistance and reach to new all-time highs. But you can only make this happen if you do your best and trying to apply new information in real life. Otherwise, you will not succeed, and that's a fact. people, they don't transform just by listening to others. People, they transform by doing, not just listening to me, because we are now living in an era where knowing it's not enough. Matter of fact is, knowing and not doing is basically the same thing as not knowing, or even worse, ignorance. I mean, imagine knowing what's good and what's bad and still not acting up on it, and or rather the opposite, and not creating the life you want. So I would say, stand out from the crowd and take action. Yeah, thank you, by the way, Gladio, for about my avatar. And if you zoom in, you will see a little Bitcoin logo, the Bitcoin ticker on my avatar. Okay, guys, greed. I mean, there's always some form of greed in the market. Always. There's some days that greed is extremely high, and some days it's not really that high. So I found this on the internet. It's not from myself. So it's from tradinglounge.com. So greed stands for greater returns expected every day. And I'm pretty sure most of you have experienced this form of greed before. Especially in March and April, when sentiment was extremely bullish and also altcoins performed really well, people, they just expected higher, greater returns every single day or every single week. And then you know that the trend is overly crowded and primed for a correction. So what's greed actually? We often talk about greed, but let's talk about the definition of greed. I mean, I think it's important that we all, have this consensus about what greed is. So there are a few views on greed. One, greed is a disordered desire for more than it's decent or deserved. So it's not for the greater good, but for your own selfish interest, or at the detriment of others and society at large. So let's say that this is a negative definition of greed. There's also another definition, but that one is less negative. So bear with me. So let's see greed as a disordered desire. And greed can be, by the way, be for anything. It's not only money, and it's not only, commonly, doesn't only happen in trading. It's only, also commonly for food, for money, possession, power, fame, status, attention, admiration, and even sex. You can even be greedy in sex. So greed is much more, developed in us, in human beings, than in other animals. And this is because we can think in the future. We can plan things. We have this frontal lobe, the brain on the foresight of your head. It can think in different scenarios. And this is why people, they can be greedy, because we always protect a scenario where we want more, and in a scenario where more is wanted and needed. So another theory of greed is that's programmed and wired in our mind, in our genes, in the course of evolution, because it has helped us to survive. I mean, think about it, living somewhere, and if you're collecting, let's say, apples or wheat or something else, I mean, 1 kilo is not enough. You need a lot of kilos to survive the winter. So this is another definition of greed, which is more neutralish or more positive. In English, I mean, in German, they have a different word for greed, and it's Habsucht, and Sucht is a form of disease. In Dutch, there's also a definition. We call this as a Habsucht, and Zucht. It's also related to sickness or a disease, something which is not really good for you. So we can all agree that greed is often discouraged in many religions or school of thoughts by philosophers. However, greed, we are greedy for a reason. I mean, we're not greedy for no reason. So there's something that can trigger our greediness. I'm Dutch. Yes, I'm Dutch. Let me check the chats. If there are any questions, let me know. If I have missed your question, then please repeat, ask again. Okay, I think this is a really interesting psychology of Bitcoin. We all know that the market is fueled by what? By emotions. In every phase, in every cycle of the market, there are different emotions. So my question to you guys is, where are we right now? And by the way, I have two questions. Where are we right now when it comes to your own feelings? So where are you right now with your feelings in relationship to your portfolio? And where are we right now in the market? And I think you need to distinguish these two. Why? People, they trade their beliefs. And this is one of the tactics, one of the strategies you can apply to stay more objective. I do acknowledge that it's really hard and maybe impossible to be 100% objective towards the market, but we need somehow to do our best. People, they're really greedy when something is happening with their P&L and they project this on the chart. And this is wrong. This is really wrong, because if you're influenced by your P&L or your trading performance and projecting this on the chart, you're basically trading what? You're trading your emotions. You don't want this. So ask yourself basically every day before you open a chart, even before in the morning, let's say in the morning, don't start with trading view. Try to start to analyze and chart yourself. Or where am I with my feelings towards the market? Am I in a depression? Am I angry? Am I in denial? Ask yourself. This is metacognition. This is how we will become conscious about our own unconsciousness. It's by asking the right questions. So, with that said, I want to explain you a little bit about this NLP communication model. I often talk about it. So we tap into this, into the outer world, so the three-dimensional world, through our five senses. And we're collecting information. Our brain is collecting information. However, we are not objectively collecting this information. We automatically, without knowing it, we are deleting, generalizing, and distorting information based on our filters. So we all have filters. Memory can be a filter. Your previous decisions can act as a filter. Emotions can act as a filter. Beliefs can act as a filter. Both, personal beliefs about yourself, you hold about yourself, and religious beliefs, values, and meta programs. All of them can act like a filter. So in this phase, when we tap into this world, we delete, generalize it, or distort information, we're starting to create biases. We are creating biases. So in an event of a overly bullish market sentiment, we are perceiving information, and we might or might not delete information that's conflicting with the primary sentiment. Everything is going up. We all experienced the only up a month, or how do you call that, phase of crypto a few months ago. So when you in that state of only up and I'm greedy, then this will basically have an impact on your body. So a lot of bodily changes will occur. Your physiology will change, and because your physiology will change, your state will, it gets reinforced. It gets stronger, and then you're starting to make decisions, and that's what we call behavior. Some behaviors are really good. Some behaviors are destructive. If you're in a greedy state and you cannot break your greediness, you cannot detach yourself from being greedy, then you will most likely make a lot of stupid mistakes. But before, guys, does one of you have some specific greed triggers? Are you aware of what is triggering your greed, or things that can influence or impact your greediness? Think about it, please. Think about it. By the way, I'm sure all of you know your way to the like button, so give this video a like, and I will promise that I will come with more content on YouTube. So yeah, FOMO and Twitter, and I think these are really good fear triggers. So there are a lot of fear triggers, and it's impossible to discuss all of them. I can, name a few of them. A self-limiting belief could be a trigger. Some people, they have really bad relationship with money, and because of that, this can trigger greed. Comparison trap. Obviously, people they compare themselves with others, especially now with this NFT hype. Well, I'm not sure if it is a hype, but it's, for me, it feels like a hype. People, they trade, they buy an NFT for 1 Ethereum, and they sell it for 50 or 100 Ethereum. Other people, when they see this, they compare themselves. They think, wow, stupid me, I'm just making 25% a month, and they do a 50x or 20x or a 10x or a 5x, it doesn't matter what, in a month. So the comparison trap is a huge one. Social media influence, obviously. Your past experiences. People, what they do is they compare themselves with their past experiences, which is also not good, because every day we basically experience a different market. I mean, the market in April is basically not really the same as now, and there are a lot of biases, right? We just explained how a bias is the cure. I did a series about bias. We talked about post-purchase rationalization bias. We talked about loss aversion bias. We talked about anchoring bias. We talked about in hindsight bias. We talked about recency bias, cognitive biases, selection bias, information bias. So there are a lot of biases, and I'm not saying that you need to be aware of all of them, but at least understand confirmation bias, because this is one of the strongest biases out there. So I can pretty much guarantee that I myself have experienced all of these greed triggers: self-limiting beliefs, comparison trap, social media influence, past experiences, the different biases of especially confirmation bias, and successful trades. Sometimes I'm making a lot of good trades, and then thoughts occur in my mind, like, okay, maybe now I should deviate from my trading principles and risk more than I normally do, for example, or maybe I should now go full in, because if it does 20x or 10x or 3x or 1x or whatever, I will make a lot of money. So I am now aware of my own greed triggers, and I suggest you guys to also ask yourself, what is triggering me? What does trigger my greed? And how does it influence and impact my trades? So greed, let's say that greed is an emotion. And I have a tricky question for all of you guys. I know there are a lot of brilliant minds in this live stream. So are emotions per se bad or good? And I'm saying this because the psychological aspect of trading is extremely important, but also often overlooked. It's maybe for a lot of people not the most sexiest topic or aspect of trading, but eventually trading is all about having the right mindset. Even if you have edge, but not having the right mindset to respect your edge, you will eventually lose money. Matter of fact is, a lot of people are actually losing money, even in a bull market. And it's because people, they trade their beliefs and not really the market, as I just explained. So in essence, trading goes actually against our own nature. So guys, maybe you just felt for the for another trap, but emotions are not good or bad at all. I mean, emotions are just emotions, they occur. Emotion is actually a sensation. There are a lot of definitions about emotions. There's not really a hard study about emotions. But see emotion as a neutralish thing. It's not bad, it's not good. I mean, it's normal to be greedy, it's normal to be fearful, it's normal to feel disgust in some situations, it's normal to feel depressed in some certain situations. What I want you to understand is emotions just happen. I mean, we are wired in such a way, we have all these receptors to feel emotions. So let's agree that emotions are not good or bad, they're just neutral. I do recognize that there are some negative emotions and positive emotions. The problem is with emotions is once we identify ourselves too much with a certain emotion, then we just have labeled ourselves, sometimes in a empowering way, sometimes not. An example is, when you feel fear, we tend to tell others or ourselves in our mind, I'm fearful. So I want you to recognize the two most influential words ever, and that's I am. I am. If you're telling yourself I'm angry, your identity is basically angriness. You're angry. If you say I'm sad or I'm greedy or I'm fearful, you're identifying yourself too much with this emotion. In my opinion, emotion is not something that you should identify too much with it. A trick, it's not rocket science, but try to reframe the sentence from I am angry into I feel angry, or I feel sad, or I feel depressed, or I feel surprised, or I feel disgust, or I feel, and then the emotion instead of I am the emotion, if this makes sense. Because if you say I feel greedy, if I feel greed, not sure, well, but anyway, I think you get my point. If you say I'm greedy, what you're basically telling yourself is, also to your subconscious mind, I am greedy. And this is you're identifying yourself with this emotion. Your body, your subconscious mind will do everything in its power to make this reality. Instead of, if you say, I feel greedy in this current market situation, then your subconscious mind, your mind can more act as a observer, if this makes sense. Because if you say, I am greedy, you will act like a greedy person. And then you basically don't have any control over your emotion. If you say, I feel greedy, you allow yourself to observe the emotion, and then you can regulate and manage it in a proper way. Yeah, I am. I am. This is what Year of the Bull is saying, Ms. Convict. Nice to have you here. By the way, I am is incredibly powerful self-labeling. So if you do use I am, please use it in a positive way. So this is for emotion, and I hope that you understand this. Try to not identify yourself too much with especially with negative emotions that are not empowering. So there are negative and positive emotions. Emotions in themselves, they're not good or bad, they're neutral. So we will all experience a lot of greed, fear, and emotions. What can help, guys, is to break the romance with your P&L and focus on the next trade and reward yourself often. So something about your P&L and trading performance. So trading performance is actually something you don't have really in your control, right? I mean, you can basically gamble all your money away, right, with 100x, and then I can almost guarantee you that after 4 or 5 trades, you will lose all of your money. But your P&L is something out of your control. So don't allow this P&L to determine your self-esteem or your self-confidence or how you identify yourself. It shouldn't. Why? Because it's something outside of your control. Instead of focus on your trading behavior and focus on the process. Focus on journaling. Focus on identifying emotions you experience. Focus on your system. Focus on your TA. Focus on your mental edge. This is something you can control, right? But your P&L, believe me, it's outside your control. It's easy as that. I mean, imagine your life. I mean, just think about it. Your life, your self-esteem, your self-worth is based on your P&L. I mean, then you have a really shitty life, to be honest. And I also experienced this in 2017 and 18. I identified myself too much with outcome of something I couldn't really control. You want to, your self-esteem, your self-worth could be based on many things, right? It could be a relationship with your wife, your husband, your anything, with society, with God, with your behavior towards others, helping others. That's all good because that's also in your control. But when it comes to performance, it shouldn't dictate. It shouldn't how do you call that? It shouldn't tell you a lot about your self-esteem. And reward yourself often. I mean, this is also really important. So yeah, I mean, greed and consequences. This is a funny one because don't think that I'm immune for greed. By the way, I also experience greed. So what I do is I journal. I often say you are as good as you write, especially when it comes to feeling. It's important to write them down or to talk about it out loud. You can record yourself about your, you experienced a certain day and some traits, and then you can delete it, or you can have a trading buddy, so you can talk with him or her about your trading experiences. Because if you talk with someone about it, you will process information in a more deeper way. When I'm doing a lot of trades, I can do some journaling, and journaling is good, right? It also promotes thinking, proactively thinking. But if I do journaling and I talk with someone about it, especially about my mistakes or something I did good, it helps me to process this information in a more deeper way. So how greed can impact me, for example, is not taking profit. I made this mistake also in April and June, but then I dollar cost averaged down, especially some certain coins like Ray and RSR, and I'm in profit. But I also could have took more profit from these trades in April. So another consequence of being greedy is opening huge position sizes, breaking your trading rules, setting your bids too low. It could also be a consequence, or it could also come from being greedy. So you're thinking, okay, I don't want to buy Cardano now at 280, so I will set bids at $2 or $1.50, and you're trading just like the 1 hour chart. This could also come from greed. Okay, even though you don't lose money, but it could be something that's derived from greediness. Stop loss to tech people, they do this because they artificially create a high risk reward ratio on paper. So this this happens a lot of time. So this is something to be mindful of. As we all know, stop loss should be based on TA, so it's not just a random number. Moving stop loss below initial moving stop loss below initial stop loss. Not sure what I was trying to. So let's skip that one. And becoming backholder. I mean, this is maybe one of the biggest consequences of being too greedy. I mean, not taking profits, seeing your trade going down to seeing corrections of 90%. And then you're against your own will a backholder. A question from Ultra: is Fibonacci extension a good way to set TPs? Yes, for sure. I love Fibonacci's, and there are a lot of people who are using Fibonacci's. I did this on a lot of trades, especially when it's in price discovery. I don't have, I do use Fabricator Pro for finding targets. Especially if something is in price discovery. But yeah, Fibonacci works. Works. It often works for me. Let's see. Just checking all the chats to see if there are any questions. Yeah, so guys, you think this was useful? This is something you can apply. This is something that has gave you more insight about the topic of greed and how to how to view greed and how to manage it. So also another thing about greed and trading, especially trading with a small capital, especially if you're trading, so not investing, people, they tend to think that they can skip trading principles, like principles related to risk management and money management. This is a big fallacy. I mean, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you gamble away your money with a small account, you will most likely also do this with a big account. Why? Because you just have cultivated bad trading habits, and it's really hard to get rid of bad trading habits. In neuroscience, they often say neurons that fire together, they wire together. So if you do things regularly, your brain cells, they will form a path, a connection. And the more often you do this, the stronger this connection becomes, and then it becomes until it becomes a automated program, a habit. So even if you have a small account, let's say $1,000, a small account for your $2,000 or $3K, I don't care. And if you want to learn to trade, respect risk management, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And rethink your trading approach. And reflect also on your goals, guys. So yeah, with that said, guys, greed is an important topic, and I'm not sure if one live stream is enough to talk about this topic, because it's so crucial. But there is also you could also apply or practice greed in a good way. For example, be greedy with your trading plan. I mean, respect your trading plan. Be greedy with taking profits, and take aggressively profit once it has reached your TPs. Be also greedy when your trade goes in your favor, and move your stop loss to above your entry or target point. It depends on how price has moved since your entry, but be greedy with that. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than a risk-free trade, right? Be greedy with securing profit. I mean, look back to May, look back to April. I mean, most of us, have some regret feelings of not taking more profit. I mean, let this be a lesson. Let that be a lesson. Be greedy with your time, your energy, your training principles. But also, really important is, we're trading to make money. We also need to realize, especially when the primary trend is up, is to have some form of a moon back, because your moon back is your ticket to the moon. I have made some big mistakes with some certain trades. I'm not gonna lie about it. For example, Chili's. I sold Chili's a little bit too cheap, around I'm not sure how much it was, 8 or 9 cents. Still made a lot of money. But then within a week or two, it went up to 90 cents. And if I would have sold it around 80 cents, I would have made 250K, which is for me a lot of money. Not sure about you guys, but this is one of the mistakes I made, not leaving a moon back. Let's see, are there any questions? Not sure if there are any questions. If there are questions, please drop them. Also want to emphasize one thing. Currently, there is a special promo only for people who sign up for our newsletter. So we produce a newsletter every single week. It comes out on a Tuesday. People who sign up, they will get a 50% discount on almost all of our plans, except for private mentoring. So it's exclusive Nest Club and official calls and Replicated Pro. You will get 50% discount. Yeah, of course, Alex. If you have another question outside of this topic, please feel free to ask. Meanwhile, some tips on how to journal effectively would be great. So let's talk about journaling for a little while. So I just mentioned that we are as good as we write. So I think it's important to journal, because trading is a really high arousal environment. Let's have consensus about that. Trading is a high arousal environment, especially in crypto, because it goes 24/7. It never stops. It never sleeps. We need sleep, and crypto, it goes forever. What helps is to realize that you don't need to write a lot to journal. I mean, 1 sentence or 2 sentences or 3 a day or even a week could be enough. So what you could do is, if you journal, especially your mindset is, one, your bodily changes. So how it the state you have experienced, your physiology, how it has changed your physiology, and 3, your behavior. Like, write it down every single week. Do you make it specifically a trading journal, personal, or what do you focus on? Yeah, I have a specific trading journal where I write about my trading performance, how I have made decisions, when I deviated from my edge, from my trading system, when I took profit, when I moved my stop loss. I write all of that down. Also about my patience level, discipline. So basically everything I can that comes up in my mind, I write it down on a piece of paper. Preferably I do it really on a piece of paper with hand and pen and paper. So, ladies and gentlemen, are there any other questions about trading psychology, NLP, mindset? If not, let's call it a call. Let's call it a live stream. Hope to see you guys next time. I'm really happy with your presence, and I hope, and it's really my hope, that you guys have learned something new and that you also have something that you can work on. Because progress is happiness, and if you progress, especially on mindset and trading psychology, you will stand out from the crowd. You can believe me. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Config. I am indeed Dutch. Dank je wel. Graag gedaan. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. Hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.